Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. We're just gonna go through everything, but first off, check the partners below if you're looking for an exchange or anything like that. Alright, we're just gonna start off with BTC, obviously. Well, we are here. We are trading at all-time highs. We just broke above 70k, and we're now sitting at 71 and a half. And for now, I mean, this is still looking quite strong. We're gonna get into some scenarios and thoughts on the market in a bit. But for now, just going by the chart, I'd say ride the trend until it stops because for now people have been shorting these things. On the lower time frames, we have been getting considerably more of these wicks down. So that does show some leverage being used, and a lot of these longs have been getting swiped out, especially on this nuke here after we broke all-time high. But it got bought quickly back up, and it's kind of what we've been seeing for a while now, because here as well, another sweep, another dump. It's not that big, I mean 6%, but it's still a 4k move at this point while we're at these prices. And then here overnight we had a quick semi gap fill, but nothing too crazy there, and now we're back to new highs. So eventually these things don't get bought back up, of course, when we do get some kind of flash. I think that's a good scenario to watch out for, as that would show some weakness. But until then, I mean, people that have been buying all these dips have been doing very well for themselves. And I think I personally don't like longing anything for that matter in this case. I'm holding my spot, I'm just chilling, riding the wave. But I think the longs are getting a bit of a worse risk reward, I think, at this point. Shorting, on the other hand, is also quite dangerous, especially on these meme coins, as they've just been going and going and going. So be careful with that for sure. My plan for now is to just wait it out, wait until at some point we get some period where we cool off a bit, we consolidate, we build a base for a next leg up. But for now, I'm just sitting on my hands, just holding my spot and taking some profits along the way. I will say that I have been taking profits for the past few months, just tiny bits, like a few percent here, a few percent there, and then just parking it in stables or moving it elsewhere to diversify the investments a bit. So for now, not really trading, just mainly waiting, and at some point when we do cool off a bit, I will be looking for longs again. I will also, when that happens, I think people are gonna bet on these kind of things that keep on happening. At some point, these are just gonna make a new low. For example, let's say we get a flash right now. For example, people are gonna expect this to happen, which for now it might do. I think the probabilities are there that it will do a similar retrace again. But there's gonna be a point where we get this, we get maybe tiny bounce, everyone is longing, and then we get another sweep. I think that is a good sign that the momentum is weakening a bit, and you should probably chill out on the longs until maybe we get some longer period of sideways price action, and then a break of trend, for example, and then you can look for longs again for the next bigger leg up. Because for now, it's just been these marginally higher highs into flashes because all the longs get taken out, and then rinse and repeat. And I don't think that's an ideal environment to trade in. All right, we're just gonna go through everything here. I don't think Bitcoin dominance is very interesting at this point. It's just been going sideways for the past few months, so nothing going on there, which can be seen on EBTC as well. I do still think EBTC will be heading up at some point. But for now, I will say, like, every time EBTC does move up, BTC tends to roll over, as it's taking some liquidity away from BTC. So if you want this trend to continue up, I think it's best that ETH and most alts don't outperform Bitcoin too hard, because that will take liquidity and attention away from Bitcoin, which then usually causes Bitcoin to roll over and come down a bit. But I do think if Bitcoin chills out a bit for a while, then ETH BTC will just start grinding back up into this ETH ETF deadline, which we've not been hearing too much about. It's in about 2 months, so let's see if we get some more noise in that regard in the nearby future. Quickly over stocks, just because into the close on Friday we sold off quite a bit, and most notably we saw Nvidia sell off about 10% or so. It's now up a bit in the pre-market. Was interesting to me here is that here during this sell-off, we did see something like, let's say, WorldCoin, AI coin. We did see that sell off a bit into Friday here, into this close. But then the stocks closed and AI coins just rallied again on Saturday or Friday to Saturday night, which is interesting because obviously these things have been correlated to Nvidia quite a lot. But Nvidia sold off. These things went up regardless. I do still think that the relative AI sector within crypto is relatively small, considering how big of a topic it is right now. So longer term, I'm definitely bullish on these things. I do feel like if Nvidia were to keep going down, of course, I mean, it has been doing these kind of things a few times and then it just retraced the next week or the next few days. But if this were to keep rolling over, I do think that's going to see some weakness relatively in the AI crypto coins. But of course, I mean, if Nvidia bounces, I think these runs will just continue to keep going on these AI coins. So keep an eye out for that. Moving on, not too much here, not too much here. Yeah, then the meme coins. I will highlight one trade we got going on in the crypto hounds right now, which is a pair trade on Doge and Shiba. So we've been hitting some relatively low levels of the Doge pair against Shiba, which means Shiba gained in value against Doge. I think it almost, maybe it flipped it for like an hour or so here in terms of market cap. But that has historically been a level where it doesn't tend to hang out for a long time. So what we tend to see is Shiba make a big run, and then at some point when the market cools off a bit or Doge catches back on, then the ratio will go back up and Doge tend to stay on top in terms of the market cap size. So what we did here, about 10% lower or so on the pair at like 4,800. We long Doge and we shorted Shiba, which so far has been profitable trade, but we're heading for a bit higher. So what we're doing here is betting on relative strength from Doge against Shiba. And the nice thing about this is due to me being uncertain of the shorter term, like the real short term, I don't really want to put on just a naked long or short on these things. But this is a nice way of still trading while you're betting on something outperforming the other. But it can theoretically work out if the market goes up or down, because in this case, I would say if we go sideways or down, it's more favorable for this trade. But let's say the entire market moves up, but Doge moves up more than Shiba, then it will still be a profitable trade, as the Doge long would make more money than the Shiba short would lose. And the opposite way around, of course, if the market goes down, but both Doge and Shiba go down, but Shiba goes down more, then the trade would still make profit as the short outperforms the long. So that's an interesting trade mechanic you can look for, especially if you're unsure about like the overall market direction, as it might be volatile or something like this. Now we're just heading into these all-time highs and it's all over the place, but you still want to bet on some kind of outperformance of one pair relative to the other. So that's I thought that was interesting to highlight here. Then, in general, these altcoins or these meme coins, this is something just a random drawing here. I mean, so far, they're still obviously in an uptrend. They've been doing incredibly well. I will say, I don't really like these things going up this much. I mean, I love the coins themselves, but I think people are eventually going to get burned by them. So be a bit careful here. If you made a lot of money, don't forget to take some profits along the way. Obviously, leave some on the table, because who knows, maybe they 2x again or something. But I will say, almost always when we see these kind of rallies on these meme coins, it tends to be closer to a local top than not. On the overall market, that is, as it just shows like a lot of degeneracy and willing to gamble, and usually that marks some kind of local top. And I'm not saying that's happening right here. This can go on for another week or two or a month, I don't know, similar to these funding rates, which we're going to head to in a bit. it can go, all these things, people are always calling these out on day one, but realistically, all these things can go on for weeks minimum, and then at some point, finally, you're gonna sell off, and then people are gonna be like, see, it was a top signal after all, but meanwhile, the market in its entirety rallied much higher. So it's always good to be aware of the signs of some overheating, but also know that these things don't immediately mark a top, but they can keep going for a long time in this case. But I will say, I don't like the risk reward on these things for longing at this point. But that's the case for the entire market, in my opinion. Like, I hold my spot. I just slowly take some profit, but I think at some point we are gonna cool off for a bit, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be like a really brutal sell-off, but it might just be like a few months of slow sideways bleeding price action, similar to something like here. This would be a scenario I would love to see, for example. This was just a random part I took from here down at 2021 when we just had a huge run up. We got some choppy sideways bleeding price action into the new all-time highs, and I think we might be at like a similar place in this cycle for now. So something like this I would love to see, where we just chop around for a bit. At this point, people are gonna be like super bearish, especially if we get some kind of price action like this where we sweep the lows a few times. People are gonna bet on the breakdown, kind of similar to this, but on a bigger time frame. I think this would build a good floor for the next leg up. Once again, like I'm not sure if this happens here. I mean, for all I know, it happens here, or all the way from 100k and then back to 80 or something. But at some point, I would like to see something like this, wherever it may be, and I think that would make for a good reset in the market, reset all the overheated indicators, the funding rates a bit, because as you can see here, these are the perpetuals or the futures. These are trading about like 100 to 150 higher than the spot pairs, which are up here. So what that shows you is that people are really longing quite a lot, like longing more than spot. And there's this willingness to just pay a lot of funding meanwhile. So what has been happening now is people are paying about 100% APR to just keep their long open, and that's annualized. Now, these funding rates, they don't care at all if Bitcoin or any, like the market in general, moves like this, like a few percent a day, no problem at all. This will get a problem, will be a problem once price starts going sideways or starts bleeding a bit, and people are still paying these high funding rates, and at some point they're gonna be like, okay, market has kind of lost its momentum, I'm gonna close out these longs, so I'll just reopen them later again, maybe at a lower price as well. And once that starts happening, of course, that also causes some selling and might see some longs covering, which should kind of balance things out again, as it would drive price down a bit, but it also makes it so funding rates come down a bit, spot catches up to the perpetual pairs again, and all in all would make for a more healthy market in general. But yeah, I don't think these funding rates matter at all, as long as we keep going the way we're doing right here, because that's just, yeah, I mean, it's going so quickly that it doesn't really matter at this point, because people are making their funding rate for the week in like a month or like an hour's time, so that really doesn't matter in this case. But keep an eye out for that. Like, if the momentum stalls, then we might also shortly afterwards see some longs close out. ETH, ETH we just mentioned this real quick, not too much going on here. ETH itself sitting above 4k now. It just swept this high as well, but it seems to be holding for now. In terms of like the higher levels, had this drawing from before, we did cross 3600, which was the main level here. Next up would be about 4400, and of course the all-time highs after that. If we were to come down a bit, I would look for a move to like 3600 to potentially bid there. I will say, like, I do think something like this is likely, where you get the initial sweep, people are longing, then you get another one, and then it takes off from there. I think that would be a realistic scenario. But yeah, for now, I mean, trend is up. This still has a lot of catching up to do. I mean, Bitcoin is in a new all-time highs. ETH isn't even close at this point. I mean, depending on what you call close, but like over 20% still to go. So quite some move to go there. I mean, we'll just see. 4400 next level, $3,600. We're right in the middle, so also confirms that this is really not a place for me to trade in. I just don't see the risk reward weighing up on both sides. I do think at some point people are going to get some really nice quick moves on shorts on maybe these meme coins when the market does turn around. But people have been attempting that for this entire rally on these things. So yeah, I mean, who is really gonna win? There's gonna be some people celebrating once they got some shorts, but I don't know. I don't really see how this is a good place to put on any trade at this point. Moving on, I'm just gonna go through some interesting altcoins. So for example, we got the EIP 4844 upgrade in 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. And it should help these layer 2s with, I think, their cost in fees. Don't quote me on this, but check out that it is an upgrade from the E network. Should theoretically help layer 2s. So that's things like Arbitrum, Optimism, Mental. Keeping an eye on all these and seeing how they perform. Most notably, recently, I think, is the fact that GameFi coins have been doing quite well. It's still, like, a lot of people are bullish on these, but I'm not seeing them spammed all over my timeline just yet. But we're seeing, like, even these older coins, like Mana and Cent, well, they are a bit older by now. They're moving quite well, even though a lot of altcoins have kind of held steady around this level. It has mainly just been AI coins, meme coins, and now GameFi that have been moving. I think it's interesting. Once, for example, let's say AI coins stall because Nvidia goes down and the market maybe stalls. But then you see, for example, the GameFi coins go up. Then in that case, you could watch for like a good capital rotation between the two, which can usually make for a nice quick move as people move from the one hot thing to the other, which is something which tends to happen a lot. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. For now, just gonna wait and see. Like I've been saying, like there's no clear. I mean, there's a clear trend, but I don't like longing into these or shorting into these. I'm just waiting and I'm chilling with my spot. And yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. For now, it's been an incredibly interesting rally. There's been still a lot of spot demand through these ETFs. And overall, it's just really exciting time to be in this market. And so much has been happening. I will say, to end it off, let's say we get something like this. I mean, obviously, don't quote me on this, but let's say we get something like this. We do tend to see a bit of a slower-ish summer, usually in the market, as these institutions, all these Wall Street guys and whoever is involved take some time off, and volumes tend to go down a bit. And there does tend to be like a new narrative or thing that pops up during these summers in bull runs. So in 2020 we had DeFi summer, 2021 we had NFTs, GameFi, Metaverse, and who knows, maybe we'll get a similar, maybe AI goes this summer as it has been going already. But usually it's something new which might not even be there right now. So keep an eye out for that, especially if the market cools off. Let's say Bitcoin does this kind of price action during the summer, where it just chops around a bit. That leaves a lot of room for altcoins to really start moving, and especially some specific sector which might be new and hot. That's where some crazy runs are usually being done. So yeah, let's see. Usually the summer is good for those kind of things. A bit worse for continuation of the trend in general. Usually it slows it down a bit there. But in this case, I don't think that would be too awful, as we can kind of cool off a bit. And obviously, that's still quite far away. But I mean, Q1 is ending in like 3 weeks. So let's see. And overall, just I'd say ride the trend. the trend is your friend, and don't get too crazy on leverage, especially now, and don't get too crazy on leverage, especially now, because I mean, you've already seen all these wicks which have been really chopping people up, even if they're long. But at some point, the dip is not going to instantly retrace. So if you're going to keep longing on leverage, you're just going to throw away all your profits, and that's really not desirable, of course. So with that, I'm going to end it off right here. I hope you all enjoyed. I wish you all a good week ahead, and take care. Bye bye.